Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Pulse of Finns Nation. I am your host Lewis Sung, and once again we are here to assess the pulse of Finns Nation, which is kind of why the show is called what it's called. This show is about you, the audience, and figuring out what it is that's going on in your minds. And so I asked you, after the draft was over, what are your thoughts on the NFL draft for the Miami Dolphins? Did you like what they did? Did you hate what they did? Did you like a little bit of half and half? Well, we're going to find out exactly what the thoughts are, and you all are going to be participating with me. So, and remember, if you ever want to be a part of Pulse of Finns Nation, all you have to do is just comment on anything that I tweet and leave comments up in the comment box below. All that is available for you to do whenever you'd like. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing started, shall we? I really enjoyed the draft and think the staff did a great job getting value through the process. They got some good football players who look like they're tremendous athletic specimens. Coach these picks up and develop properly, could have some stars fins up. The use of punctuation entirely unnecessary, I guess. I agree. I think they did get some really good players throughout this draft. Definitely athletic specimens. That's a good way to put it, because a lot of the guys that they brought in, especially the first two first-rounders, Jalen Waddle, athletic freak, he's really fast. Again, you don't get comparisons to Tyreek Hill for nothing. The dude is fast. And with him and Will Fuller running across the field, Will Fuller, I assume, is going to be the vertical guy, and then you have Jalen Waddle, who's going to be the horizontal speed guy, so it's going to be dangerous no matter what. And then Jalen Phillips, if everything develops the way that we hope it will, then he could be the best pass rusher in the NFL draft, not gonna lie, just on the fact that he is an athletic freak all in and of itself. After that, things get a little bit interesting. Javon Holland, I didn't see a safety coming off the board. I was hoping Miami would go running back, but it doesn't matter because Denver stole their guy anyway. So that's besides the point. I personally think that it was a really good draft, but development is going to be key. Are all these players going to develop in year one? Are all the guys they drafted last season going to develop in year two? Especially our young quarterback, who apparently has been the reason for a cause for concern. I don't know why after 9 games we're suddenly deciding that we're going to dump the guy, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. That's how people react, especially the national media. They always have to find something wrong with the Dolphins. But I digress. Now they're suddenly heaping praise after the draft performance that we had, so I guess that counts for something, right? Their plan was not my plan, but I can see the vision. Yes, I agree with that. Their plan was definitely not my plan either. I wanted Najee Harris with the 18th overall pick because I really wanted a top running back to basically strike some fear into the hearts of defenses out there, because now if you had a running back that is also top tier, then you have Jalen Waddle and Will Fuller and Devontae Parker and Preston Williams and whoever else happens to be on the offensive side of the ball, plus the potential of a great running game to basically make things miserable. There would be nowhere for the defense to really focus their attention. But I digress. They decided instead to go on the defensive side of the ball, and Jalen Phillips could potentially be the best pass rusher in this draft. There's no question about it. I mean, you look at the stats that he put up in Miami, you see what he's gone through. The only thing that's concerning about him is he going to stay healthy? He has had injury concerns, not even just counting the concussions. He's had more than that he's going to have to deal with, and that's going to be a cause for concern going forward. But if it pans out, this dude could be the best pass rusher we've had since Cameron Wake. I mean, you look at what he has to offer on the table, and you just see the potential that they have to have this incredible defense now. Javon Holland, some people are saying, well, he's going to be what we wanted Minkah Fitzpatrick to be. Well, if he can be what Minkah Fitzpatrick was supposed to be, minus the complaining about, oh, I'm not in the position I want to be, and then I go to Pittsburgh and I'm happy doing all the things that I was doing in Miami, you just didn't want to tank, dude. At least admit it, doggone it, will you? It's so blatantly obvious. But I digress. It was obvious that the trenches were a cause for concern for Miami, and they went ahead and invested in that, as well as the defense itself. So you have Liam Eichenberg in the second round that you went ahead and you drafted. You have Javon Holland that you drafted, and then everything after that is just more icing on the cake. They really want to make sure the offensive line position is taken care of. The only thing I didn't appreciate is that, again, they didn't draft a running back, they didn't draft a center specifically, so I guess we're going to be sticking with Matt Skura, which is fine. I'm good with Matt Skura. I think that he can fix his snapping problems. Some of my constituents disagree, but this isn't their show, so meh. A+ potential with a C- floor. The top 2 picks have potential to be best in class, but carry significant risk of injury. I think it's more likely they stay healthy and produce, which is why I'll say tentatively right now it's a B+ draft. Filled a lot of holes with huge talent. Okay, so I guess we're just averaging things out. If you have a C- floor with an A+ ceiling, then I guess, yeah, a B+ is a decent way of putting it. So, yeah, that's basically what it boils down to. Can these guys stay healthy? Everything is going to be riding. It always rides on the first round picks. If they hit, then everything is great. If they don't, well, things are going to be taking a little bit slower than we want them to. If Jalen Waddle ends up getting hurt, well, then hopefully we have enough depth that we can go on without him. Let's see if Albert Wilson can still contribute. And let's not forget Jakeem Grant. I know that people in the comments section and the Twitter, just every time you mention Jakeem Grant, it's like, he can't catch the ball. I'm like, look, it's not the worst thing in the world. He's made a lot of big plays for Miami too, and let's not forget that, okay? It's not like he's a scrub. He just has issues with his hands, and if you are a wide receiver, I admit that's a major problem, but when he does get his hands on the football, things happen. So let's not pretend that he doesn't have something to offer a team. So, as for Jalen Phillips, Miami was able to do what they did even without a top pass rusher last season. So if Phillips does not play for whatever reason, or if he misses some games, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world. It's going to suck, believe me, because if he ends up going on a tear and then he hurts himself and he's gone for the rest of the season, well, the pass rush obviously takes a major hit. But Miami has shown that they can generate pass rush. They do the cover zero. They send the whole house at them. Quarterbacks panic for a moment and then things go wrong. But that's why we invested so much money in Xavier Howard and Byron Jones at the same time, so that the cornerback position is well taken care of. And now we're adding even more competition. Let's not forget Justin Coleman, who was brought in. He's basically a slot guy. Nick Needham was recently re-signed to a new contract. It's not a big one, but it is a new contract nonetheless. And the whole defense is going to be so much competition, and there's going to be so much to watch on the defensive side of the football that no matter what happens, even if something terrible happens, this defense is still going to be pretty darn solid. I'm not going to say like top 5 because any given Sunday things can go wrong, but I mean, I'm going to be confident in saying that it is going to be a very dangerous defense, because Brian Flores, for all the knocks I have on him and how he does as well as running back position, like I really don't think he values the running back position as much as he should. I really don't think that he pays as much attention to offense as he should, because again, he's a defensive-minded coach. That's to be expected. It's kind of the same thing with Adam Gase, who only focused on offense and literally would just sit on the bench and do nothing while the defense was on the field. So in that regard, I get it, but yes, I agree with the potential. I'll go ahead and I'll say that's a good way of grading it. It's a B+ right now, and it could potentially raise to an A+ depending on if the prospects actually play or not. If they play, then things will go well. If they don't play, well, things are not going to be as good as we hoped. I love all picks! Okay, great, but why are we yelling? First 4 picks equals very good. The TE dropped it a bit, tight end. Third day was a washout and shouldn't have been with the talent available, and upgrade is needed in 2 to 3 positions. Admittedly, that's how I initially thought too. I figured that, well, the first 4 picks were pretty darn awesome, all things considered. I wasn't sure about Liam Eichenberg at first because I felt like, why did we need another tackle? Is he going to be moved inside the guard? Are we going to move Austin Jackson to the right side of the line instead? Is he going to go to right tackle? I felt like we needed a center more. Creed Humphrey was still available to draft the whole way through, and he lasted for a good long time before finally somebody picked him up. And so Miami really needed a center. I think they still needed a running back, and there were some options available. So in that regard, I do agree that yes, I kind of started to fall off a little bit. I wish they had drafted more positions of what we perceived at least to be needs. But clearly with what the Dolphins did, they went for really high potential players who can contribute right away. There's no question that Jalen Phillips can contribute right away. Jalen Waddle will contribute right away. It's like there's so many Jalens, it's hard to keep track of everybody. Then you have Javon Holland. He's also going to be contributing right away. And Liam Eichenberg, he's very good from what I can tell. He's very solid. He's very technique savvy. He's very sound in his foundation. So he's going to contribute in some way. We're just not sure of where exactly. So one way or another, Miami has basically made it so that, you know what, we are going to build a wall in front of Tua, and we are going to give him everything that he needs to have enough time to look around, throw the football, find the open guy, and make things happen. And I am good with that, because for all the years that we've been Dolphins fans, what's the one thing that we have been begging them to fix? And no matter what they do, no matter what they try, they just never seem to be able to fix it. It's the offensive line. So now, if you have, let's just throw this out there. You have Liam Eichenberg left tackle, then you have left guard Solomon Kinley. Matt Skura, if he fixes snapping issues, is a phenomenal center because he knows how to block. Do not mistake this. He knows how to block. And then you have your right guard, assuming Robert Hunt, and then right tackle Austin Jackson. And If these guys can grow and step up from last season, Jackson, Kinley, Hunt, oh my goodness, that's one of the best offensive lines that you could imagine. But again, it all depends on how well they develop, because if they don't develop well, then we're back to square one, and we'll just have to draft an offensive lineman in the first round next year. I really hope that doesn't happen. Average at best. Said no one ever! I wanted Smith over Waddle, but that's a minor criticism compared to the way I feel about their absolute failure to get a starting running back for the second year in a row. How can you make this mistake last season and then make it again? You really need a fifth tight end over McCarter? Excuse me, I read it how it was spelled. He means Michael Carter. Believe me, I get the frustration. I've said for a long time that I think the Miami Dolphins need a running back in this draft. I feel like, and they did get one, but at the very, very last pick of the draft, they picked one. And shout out to my guy Big E for the job that he did, calling him out, hyping him up as much as he could, and then doing the walk off the stage. It was an awesome little show you put together, man. Congrats to you for doing what you did. But I will say this, it just felt like almost like an insult. It's like Chris Greer was basically throwing the fan base a bone and saying, oh, you wanted a running back so badly. Well, this is literally the last draft pick we have this year, so here you go. Here's your running back. Granted, I think he has something to offer. We've seen a little bit of film on him. He seems to have a little bit of some moves on him. He's no slowpoke, that's for sure. So maybe we get something out of him. Because if I'm not mistaken, Myles Gaskin was also a 7th round pick. Actually, let me look that up real quick before I put my foot in my mouth. Myles Gaskin was also a 7th round pick, and now he's basically going to be the de facto starter for the Miami Dolphins. So, I mean, maybe there's something there that we're not seeing. New England Patriots have made a long dynasty on the back of Tom Brady and the offensive line and the defense and Bill Belichick, but the running back position was always just, oh, well, let's just throw, here's LeGarrette Blount, here's Dion Lewis, here's Jonas Gray, who was cut by the Dolphins essentially and said, dude, you're not even good, like, be gone with thee. And they managed to turn him into a star for a little bit. So I guess the Dolphins are going to try and use that same philosophy, try to use incredible blocking to make up for the fact that the running back is not supremely talented. I get it. I don't like it. I don't agree with the philosophy. I feel like they should have addressed running back a lot earlier than they ultimately did. But nonetheless, I can't be upset with what they did do. If Hunter Long turns out to be Rob Gronkowski, then, I mean, you know what? I'll just chalk that up as another L in my little book, and I'll just move on from there. Disappointed, but expected with Greer having no clue what he's doing. Running back was a glaring need, and he ignored it. Oh well, okay. We have to hope the top 2 picks stay healthy. Safety and tight end were not need positions, though I like the safety, and the rest won't make the team. D-. Chad Forbes, is that you? So I feel like that's a little bit unfair to what the Dolphins have done. I wouldn't say that they weren't positions of need, because it depends on what your definition of need is. Because if you really think about it, we have tons of corners on the roster, but as far as safeties go, not really so much. Are we really expecting Eric Rowe to be our long-term safety of the future? Are we still going to not try to upgrade from Bobby McCain at all? Because we already know that Bobby's best position by far is in the slot where he made his money. As a safety, Bobby leaves a little bit to be desired. So picking up Javon Holland is, and you even admitted it, that you like the safety pick because you know what he brings to the table. So that was a good thing. So if your complaint is more about that they didn't draft a center and they didn't draft a running back, then yes, in that regard, I agree. But as for the talent that they actually picked up, I can't really complain about it too much, because what these players bring to the table is not just for the present, it's also for the future. Remember, again, Mike Gesicki and Durham Smythe, and they're both in contract years. They both may not return to the team next year. Mike Gesicki may not get paid. Durham Smythe, I really don't think is going to get paid at all. Adam Shaheen received a little bit of an extension, but that's literally the only guy they have at that point. So if you get Hunter Long now and he can show that he's got something to offer, then maybe the Dolphins don't need to stick with Gesicki. Personally, I would pay him anyway, just because we need a top weapon in the seam, and I really want to be able to have that at my disposal. But as far as Durham Smythe, I mean, I like him, but definitely can be upgraded on. If Hunter Long can upgrade that position from that regard, then I would say, yeah, that's a position of need, because it's going to be a need for next year, if nothing else. Everything is put in this bubble of what are they doing now? What's happening right this second? Forget 2022 and beyond. What's happening? 2021, is Tua going to develop? Yes or no? If he doesn't, draft a new quarterback. If this guy doesn't do well, then draft a new one, sign a new one. Okay, we have, again, patience is key. I'm not going to give this team a D-. In fact, I wouldn't give them anything less than a B at the very, very least, because what these players are, the level of potential that they have at their disposal, what they could become if developed properly. And remember, this is what this Dolphins team is all about now: development. These guys are developing players to be awesome, awesome prospects. So if that happens, then there's no reason to believe the Dolphins can't go beyond 10-6 and maybe even, of course, a playoff berth, which would make everything worth it in the long run. So it's not just players who can contribute right now, it's also players who can contribute down the line when we have to reevaluate the roster for the next season. So believe me, I wish that they had done some different things. I still think center was more of a need than another tackle, but considering who they got for it, I'm not upset about the player at all. It's more about what I think was more important, but maybe they have a plan that I don't. Okay, so that's going to be it for this episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. I may revisit this just because you guys left so many comments, and I want to be able to get to as many as I can. So we'll see if I come back to this or not. But for those who I did answer, again, thank you for your comments. For those I didn't answer, thank you anyway for your comments. I'm really hoping that I'll be able to get to you guys in the future. I will be asking more questions as time goes on. And of course, if you really, really, really want to take priority, then of course, leave a like on this video, leave comments in the comment section down below on this video, and of course share it with your friends. It's always greatly appreciated. It helps feed the YouTube algorithm, so it's always it's always a challenge to get that beast fed. So thank you again one more time, and I will see you all next time. We have Mike Gesicki, who, by the way, is gonna in as an Myles Gaskin was potential draft